Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It's Sunday once more, which means it's time for another episode of The Captain's Table. This episode, 4 weeks after the last episode, is the first episode of 2019. Now, to start off, I did have a nice, quiet Christmas. Spent Christmas by myself, which was perfectly fine. Really did enjoy not having anywhere to be and no responsibilities to worry about. New Year's, much the same way. Basically spent New Year's Eve and New Year's Day by myself, just quietly enjoying my time off. Following that, however, back to work, but also back to the active job searching. So far, no luck on the job searching, and since the beginning of the new year, I haven't actually gotten any calls for any interviews. A little bit disappointed by that, but I am hopeful. I have applied for a couple of positions, 2 HVAC apprenticeships and 2 electrician apprenticeships. Now, I meet the minimum qualifications for the apprenticeships on all of those, and I'm hoping somebody will call me up, and I'm hoping that somebody will offer me at least about what I'm making now to do those apprenticeships. Now, I am in a good position for this because there's a decided lack, a huge shortage of people looking to get into these industries, looking to be in maintenance, building engineering, even housekeeping has a massive shortage of people. There are people who just do not want to do these jobs. So the pay, generally speaking, is pretty good, and usually you can get multiple offers from multiple different companies, as was the case last year when I was looking for employment at various locations. So the situation right now is that I have applied for a couple of these positions, and hopefully I'll get a call back early next week to do an interview with at least 3 of them. Preferably the electrician apprentice ones. Those are for low voltage, so not as much money ultimately, but still a whole hell of a lot more money and a better career field in the long run for me, and I'd love to get in there and do that. In the meantime, though, work has had some interesting developments. Now, a couple of months ago, my supervisor was made aware that I was actively looking for a new job. My coworker was also made aware that I was actively looking for a new job. He told me that he would probably not leave this job because it paid so well and it didn't require a lot of extra responsibility out of him. No supervisor role, no drama, nothing that he had to deal with personally. No fires to put out, if you will. Well, that's all changed. I came in on Tuesday to work and had my coworker confide in me that he had just started on that Monday actively looking for new employment and was now trying to find something else somewhere else. And just like me, he is also looking to get out of residential property management. He is actually looking to get a road working job with one of the cities like Renton or Kent, simply because it pays better and ideally is going to be much, much less drama and, figurative throwing under the bus here. My supervisor also revealed this week that he is also actively looking. He has put out his resume, his feelers. He's reached out to contacts in the state that he would prefer to move back to and get employment in that city. He is willing to stay in residential maintenance, but he absolutely wants out of this location. He is tired. In fact, he has gotten to a point where he has basically thrown his hands up in the air and he says, "Fuck it. Do whatever you want. I'm done. I am not going to sit here and try and police where and when you leave, take your lunch, short it, long it. I don't care. I am tired of it." He's tired of being thrown under the bus, trampled on, and made the villain simply because the rental markets right now in this city are so terrible. And when I say terrible, I don't mean it's just our building. I mean the entire city. There are brand new buildings that have been open for 6 months that only have 20% occupancy. And that's in the downtown, Belltown, and Lower Queen Anne cores, near the major Amazon campus down there, near all of the action, if you will, the bars, the clubs, the scenes. They can't even fill it up. Partly because their prices are way, way overinflated for what most of the people who live in this city can afford, and also partly because, starting last year, a noticeable trend came about where more people actually left the city than came into it. Plus, a lot of people who've been spending these big dollar amounts, $2,500, $3,500 a month for 2-bedroom apartments, are realizing that if they are willing to add an extra 20 minutes to their commute, they can go a little bit north or a little bit south and buy a condo or buy a house that's 2 or 3 bedrooms for the same monthly price that they're paying, plus then they get the property. And that's what's happening, and that's what's going to continue to happen. So definitely a good time to get the hell out of residential maintenance, because I have a sneaking suspicion that, yeah, there's not enough maintenance people to, looking to fill these positions, so these companies are going to have to try and give us as much money as possible to keep us or to hire us on to do these jobs, but at the same time, they're going to try and fuck us over at every turn because they can't afford to pay us that much money since there's not enough people renting these apartments. Overall, though, the situation at work with the fact that effectively the 3 maintenance people are looking to leave, and the fact that the housekeeper, who's part of our maintenance team, has already tried to leave once and was convinced to stay by the supervisor, would probably also get the hell out as soon as the supervisor leaves. Once he's gone, whether it be because the company's decided to try and demote him to a smaller property, pay him less, and force him to get his knee surgery, which he has to do, whether he quits or gets fired or demoted, they're going to have to pay for it either way. And they're really starting to push him on it. But once he's gone from this property, whether he still works for the company or has quit and is going somewhere else, the housekeeper is also leaving. That being said, once he's gone, because my manager knows my foot is already out the door, there's no way in hell they're going to offer me a temporary supervisor position plus a pay increase to do it. So that's going to fall onto my coworker. And my coworker has said there isn't enough money for me to deal with the bullshit at this location. How bad do you think that's going to look? Those of you who work in an HR department or know somebody in an HR department, how bad does that look on the manager when half of your team gets up and is actively going to leave, probably about the same time? How bad does that look when it's not just half of your employees, but it's all your employees from one department or one division? The maintenance department, the entire maintenance department is getting up and leaving because we are done there. If I'm HR, I'm going to look at that and say, now there is definitely a reason that they've all opted to leave at the same time, and it has to be management. In other news, in 2 weeks, I will be down in Denver, Colorado, at the United Training Facility with my cousin, and we have the opportunity to fly one of the United Airlines full-motion simulators. So you can expect some wonderful pictures from that to be posted. If you don't already follow me on Facebook, you should definitely do that, because there the pictures will be posted as I am able to get them. Granted, they're going to be posted really early on one of the mornings, because I'm told that the likely available simulator time for my cousin and I to get in there and have fun with it is going to be between midnight and 4 a.m., Which midnight, I don't know. That's either going to be midnight on Saturday to 4 a.m. Saturday, or midnight Sunday to 4 a.m. Sunday morning. Either case, my cousin and I were flying out Friday evening, really late, getting in pretty late. I think something like 11:40 at night. So we might actually go straight from the airport to the simulator, which would be perfectly fine. I'd be okay with that. And then we're coming back on Sunday mid-afternoon. Now, for those of you who may be concerned about my baby bird, don't worry, I have her situation taken care of. Gonna have my father, who has a spare set of keys, come over, feed and water her on Saturday, you know, be with her, socialize with her for at least an hour on Saturday, and then do something similar on Sunday. Maybe just feed and water her, just, you know, top off her food dish or water dish there, so that she's good to go until I return. Thought about taking her over to his house, but as I mentioned to him, she's a big bird. She can't fit in the little bird cage that they have. And I say it's a little bird cage. It fits a green cheek conure, my previous bird, and their son conure quite conveniently. It does not, however, fit conveniently my large Pyonis. They suggested I bring the cage over to their house, and I keep reminding them that I cannot get the cage out of my apartment unless I disassemble it. And I'm going to need assistance getting it down the stairs and into my car, which, again, I cannot do unless I disassemble parts of it. Specifically, the parts that I need to disassemble are the little drip guards at the bottom. Other than that, could do it. Just a lot of hassle, not really worth my time. And finally, the last interesting thing that happened to me recently was that I finally got off my ass and I went and I figured out which company had a 401k for me that I'd contributed to, and which trust company was the one that was managing it. 4 years ago was when I quit basically my first residential maintenance job. Well, it was my first full-time one. And I'd worked for that company long enough to get matching contributions on the 401k while simultaneously contributing to the 401k. Now, when I left the company, that 401k was worth about $1,200. And I never got around to creating an account with the 401k managing company, and I just kind of sat on it. My intention had always been to roll that 401k over into my Wells Fargo managed Roth IRA. But then that didn't happen because that Roth IRA constantly lost money every single quarter that Wells Fargo had it. Big surprise. Finally rolled that out into a Charles Schwab IRA and was intending to go and figure out once more where this money was, how much was in there, and roll it into that as well. Well, I finally got off my ass, got around to it, and got in and looked it up. And it turns out the $1,200 I thought I had over the last 4 years has actually done quite well and is now worth $2,800. So effectively, I had the equivalent of putting on an old coat thinking that I might have a $5 bill in there and finding out that it's actually worth 20. Well, 10. Still though, pretty pleased with that. Unfortunately, they had my old address listed and I couldn't change it from the website. Having not worked for the company in 4 years, I had no current contacts or no current way to contact anybody in charge of address changes with them. So ultimately what ended up happening was I called the managing company for the 401k and had them change it there. Puts a 14-day hold on my account, but I'm not in any particular rush to get that money today. I don't necessarily need it right now, but I do have plans for that money Not necessarily rolling it over into a retirement account, but definitely putting it into some short and long-term investment options. Anyway, that's the news from me. As always, I'll see you guys next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.